Dr. Reed, you've been practicing as a dentist for how long now?
I'm going into my 60th year.
With your smile, I can understand that you're the right guy for the job.
I think so.
So you've been using NuCalm how long?
Almost 6 years.
And why did you look into it?
That's a twofold answer that you are going to be getting. One of them is the people game part of it. Well, they were with another company, and I was lecturing and doing some marketing for the company. Jim came to me one day and he said, do you listen to these other lecturers that come in here? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, what do you think of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And I said, well, if I were running the show, I'd fire 1 and 2. And he says, we just did that. I learned that as he postured the company he was working for from the inside for its transition over that 4 or 5 year period, the brilliance of this man's team impressed me. He was extremely knowledgeable, very personable, very fair in my opinion, and postured and sold this company for a record that has never been achieved in commercial sales and dentistry. So he calls me one day and he said, I'm out of a job. And I said, your commission for the last job should keep you for the rest of your life. What are you worried about? Well, he said, I have a new task before me. And he said, I want to pacify somebody. Would you mind being a beta site for me? And I said, no. And so he told me what he was up to with a neurophysiologist and what the process was. And I had heard about this process in the past, so I wasn't unfamiliar with it, but I knew that it was not being practically used anymore. So I said, I have utmost confidence in you and your team. If you find that it clears all the hurdles or you accept this challenge or take it on, I want to be a part of it. And I did that because I was so confident in Jim Pool's capacity. Dentists produce anxiety. They're famous for probably more so than anybody but the mortician. So he felt that if this system could erase anxiety, the best place to test it would be in a dental practice. Well, I was game for that. I have been involved with clinical hypnosis for years and was using that in my practice, that I could help people follow through on their decisions and remove anxiety and help them change their behavior. But it was this sort of a difficult task. You had to be specially trained to do it. It took time. You had to have the confidence of the person. It was a relationship game. This cacophony that was set up in the brain to alter the frequency of function to remove anxiety. But it was never really put together properly or usably put together until the neurophysiologist that Jim had identified. He spent 15 years of his life putting it together, and Jim was quite impressed with what he had done. And he said, I want to try it in your practice. I said, fine. So we got a unit, and we tried it, and we found out that it was extremely useful. All the kindness in the world, arm around the shoulder, and all the other kinds of therapies that we've applied to try to help the person coming for care, because dentistry does produce anxiety, not only in the person in the chair, but for the dentist as well. I tell you, I was impressed. The truth of the matter is, if you were sent to Tibet to learn how to meditate, and they were going to teach you how to bring your brain waves down to 14 megahertz, they could do that. That's what happens. However, it takes 14 to 15 years to do that. And I can make a monk out of you in 4 minutes in my dental chair. I mean, it's just amazing. I met a neurophysiologist at Las Vegas Institute some years back. And when I introduced the NuCalm to the Dickersons over it, he was there. And he grabbed onto this thing like a kid with a new toy. He says, wow. He said, I was working with this 40 years ago. And he said, we really never got anywhere with it. This is amazing. Let me try it. He put it on, and about 5 minutes later, he took it off. He says, wow, that thing really works. Now, I have a strong respect for this physiologist. I've learned a lot from him. When he said that, I was hooked. I was sure that Jim really had something. One day, I had a lady in the chair for 3 hours, and she had scleroderma. Now, I don't even know what that is. I don't diagnose it. I don't treat it. I have no idea. I got a phone call from her. This is in the morning. At 1 o'clock, the phone rang. And she said, Dr. Reed, what did you do to me this morning? And I said, why do you ask? And she said, well, I got home. I felt so good, I cleaned my house. I have not cleaned my house in 20 years. Next morning, the phone rang. She said, I'm sorry to bother you again. But she said, I have to tell you something. I slept for 8 hours solid last night, and I haven't done that for 20 years. She's reporting to me her experience after 3 hours of NuCalm.
Do you use NuCalm on a
24 hours doesn't go by when I'm not on for an hour or two.
And your personal benefit has been what?
I go to bed at night. I have a lot on my mind. I often wake up at 1 o'clock, wide awake, and I want to go to my computer and get some things done, right? But I need that healing sleep. You'll hear about that from Jim Poole, the restorative, physiological, cell repairing rest. So I want to go back to sleep. Have you ever tried to do that? I mean, it just doesn't happen. So now my NuCalm is hanging on my nightlight, and when I wake up, I have a glass of water, reach my NuCalm, put it on, and in 15 minutes, 6 o'clock, I'll wake up in the morning, it's still going.
We're talking about fillings, cavities. We're talking about cosmetic dentistry. And we were talking off camera before about you have a technique that you like to use with the headphones that would dramatically help one's oral health. Well, what is that?
Well, the average dentist doesn't know that he doesn't know, basically. And when he is introduced to that fact, he's ego-driven to not hear what you have to say. He doesn't want to believe that he is unable to communicate with this new person who comes in. He says, how can I help you? What's your felt need? And the person says, my felt need is my gums are bleeding and my breath smells bad. Okay, well, I know what causes that. And one of the most important things that's going to happen in our relationship is me getting the answer to you for this issue. And the answer is in one word, biofilm. Now, how am I going to get this untoward message across to this new person who already doesn't know whether I should be trusted or not and has the anxiety of it, all of his past dental experience with it today? So I put the NuCalm on, and lo and behold, I can watch for a couple, 3 minutes, and you relax. You might even smile at me. That person is much more receptive. That's why I love dentistry, because it's so rewarding. And with the NuCalm, it's even more rewarding for you because you don't have the usual barriers between you and me in communication.
Why would you suggest other dentists consider incorporating NuCalm in their practice?
Dentistry is extremely stressful, and it's taking its toll on the profession. You, doctor, it's taking its toll. And you should go home relaxed. You should have fun. Dentistry should be fun. If it isn't fun, it shouldn't be done. And with NuCalm, it's fun. People really enjoy getting rid of their anxiety. It's one of the things that they're willing to give up for Lent. And a relationship that's enhanced by them hearing what it is you have to offer them. Because life goes on, and it's a lot easier when you don't have all that stress.